Picture this. For over 2 decades, the U.S. has been knee-deep in the Afghan conflict. But how many of us really know the lay of the land? Enter Dr. Dilip Joseph, a man who's been to Afghanistan more times than most of us have been to the gym. Starting in 2008, this guy made a whopping 10 trips to the war-torn country, working as the medical director for a nonprofit that trains healthcare workers. He's not just hanging out in the cities. He's out there in the boonies, in the thick of it all. So, it's December 5th, 2012. Dr. Joseph and his crew are cruising back to their Kabul base after a day at a remote medical clinic. Just another day in the office, right? Wrong. Out of nowhere, a dude with an AK-47 pops up like a jack-in-the-box. Before they know it, they're surrounded by armed insurgents and taken captive. No time for a U-turn. They're driven to a secluded valley and forced to start hiking. We're talking a grueling 9-hour trek, folks. Now, Dr. Joseph isn't just gonna sit there and twiddle his thumbs. He tries to strike up a convo with his captors, saying, "Hey, I'm from around here too, and I'm just trying to help your people." But it's like talking to a brick wall. As the sun dips below the horizon, they finally reach a single-room building in a compound somewhere in Afghanistan's wildlands. Here's where the insurgents lay their cards on the table. They want $300,000, or else they're shipping the hostages off to Pakistan. And let me tell you, that's not a vacation you want to take. They even let Dr. Joseph make a quick call to his office in Kabul to relay their ransom demands. But as the second day rolls around, their cell signal goes kaput. So, Dr. Joseph decides to roll the dice. He starts chatting with his captors through his interpreter. Most of them are as friendly as a porcupine. But there's this one 19-year-old kid, let's call him Walla, who's willing to talk. Walla starts spilling the beans about his life, revealing that all he's ever known is violence. His dad was deep into it too. Meanwhile, back at the ranch, U.S. intelligence is getting antsy. They've got wind that something's about to go down, and Dr. Joseph's life is hanging by a thread. Time to call in the big guns, DVGRU, also known as SEAL Team 6, Edward Byers, a Navy SEAL stationed in eastern Afghanistan, and his team get the call for this high-stakes rescue mission. The clock's ticking, and every second counts. The success of this mission hinges on 2 things: the element of surprise and lightning-fast action. And guess what? Every single member of that rescue team volunteers for this operation, fully aware of the risks they're about to take. So the stage is set, and the stakes couldn't be higher. Edward Byers and his SEAL Team 6 squad are gearing up for a mission that's straight out of a Hollywood blockbuster. But this is no movie. This is as real as it gets. These elite warriors are about to embark on a life-or-death mission to rescue Dr. Joseph and his team. They've got their game faces on, and they're ready to roll. Now, let's talk about SEAL Team 6 for a sec. These guys are the creme de la creme, the best of the best. Trained in everything from underwater demolition to high-altitude parachuting, they're the ones you call when failure is not an option. And Edward Byers, he's a seasoned operator with multiple deployments under his belt. He knows the drill, and he knows what's at stake. As the team boards their stealth helicopters, the tension is palpable. They're flying into hostile territory, deep into the Afghan wilderness, armed to the teeth and ready for anything. The choppers cut through the night sky like dark wraiths, their blades barely making a sound. This is a textbook black operation. Folks, no room for error, no margin for mistakes. They touch down a safe distance from the compound, and the team moves out, their night vision goggles piercing through the darkness. Every step is calculated, every move synchronized. They're like a well-oiled machine, and they've got one goal in mind: get Dr. Joseph out, and get him out alive. As they approach the compound, they take up positions. Byers is on point, his finger lightly resting on the trigger of his rifle. The team's sniper takes aim, ready to neutralize any threats. And then, In a split second, they breach. Doors are kicked in, flashbangs deployed, and before the insurgents even know what hit them, the SEALs are in control. Byers spots Dr. Joseph, bound but unharmed, and cuts him loose. "We're getting you out of here," he whispers as he leads him to safety. But they're not out of the woods yet. They still have to exfiltrate, and that means getting back to the choppers without drawing enemy fire. As they make their way back, their radios crackle with the best sound they could hope for. Extraction team in position. They break into a sprint, hearts pounding, as the choppers touch down. The rotors kick up a storm of dust, but it doesn't matter. They're going home. As they lift off, Byers looks back at the receding landscape below. Another mission accomplished, another life saved. But for SEAL Team 6, it's all in a day's work. They'll debrief, refit, and get ready for the next call, because freedom, as they say, is not free. And as long as there are people like Dr. Joseph in need, these elite warriors will be there, ready to answer the call. So, SEAL Team 6 is on the ground, and they've got their marching orders. But here's the kicker. They've been spotted. A lookout sees them and sounds the alarm. The element of surprise, gone. But these guys are SEALs. They adapt and overcome. They take out the lookout and make a beeline for the compound's entrance. Now, they reach the door, and it's not your average Home Depot special. We're talking layers of wool blankets jammed into the doorframe. This is a new kind of challenge, even for these seasoned operators. Edward Byers and his fellow SEAL, Nicholas Check, go to work. Check rushes in first and takes an AK-47 round to the head. He's down, but Byers pushes forward. Inside, it's chaos. Byers spots an enemy through his night vision goggles and takes him out. Then he sees another figure dart across the room. Friend or foe? No time to guess. Byers engages him in hand-to-hand combat and quickly realizes it's one of the captors. He neutralizes the threat. Amidst the chaos, they're trying to identify Dr. Joseph. Finally, Joseph calls out in English. Byers leaps across the room and throws himself over Joseph, using his own body as a shield while the room erupts in gunfire. Talk about bravery. But wait, there's another insurgent lurking behind the door. Byers, still shielding Joseph, reaches up and pins the guy against the wall by his throat until another SEAL takes the shot. Room cleared. Mission accomplished. Almost. They get Joseph on his feet and make sure the room is secure. No loose grenades or explosives. But the mission has come at a cost. Nicholas Check, the SEAL who was first through the door, is critically wounded. Byers, who's also a medic, works tirelessly to save his comrade during the 40-minute chopper ride back to base. Despite his best efforts, Check would later be declared deceased upon arrival. He was posthumously awarded the Navy Cross. Days later, Dr. Joseph is back with his family in Chicago, forever grateful but also grappling with the heavy reality that someone gave their life for his. As for Byers, his heroism didn't go unnoticed. He was awarded the Medal of Honor by President Barack Obama in 2016. And get this, Byers has been on a total of 11 overseas deployments, earning multiple Bronze Stars and Purple Hearts. But don't expect a book or a movie. Byers values the privacy of his community above all else and retired after a 21-year military career. Now, you might be wondering what happens after the dust settles. After the helicopters have flown off into the horizon and the adrenaline has worn off. Well, for guys like Edward Byers, the mission never really ends. After receiving the Medal of Honor, he didn't ride off into the sunset or cash in on his newfound fame. Nope, he continued to serve, racking up a total of 11 overseas deployments, including multiple tours in both Iraq and Afghanistan. This guy's chest is so decorated, it's like a military hardware store. But let's not forget about Dr. Joseph. Back home, safe and sound, he's got a new lease on life, but he's also got a heavy burden to bear. How do you go on living your everyday life knowing someone laid down theirs for you? According to Joseph, the best way to honor that sacrifice is to live a life that's worthy of it. And that's exactly what he intends to do. Now, you might think that these kinds of operations are a rarity, but let me tell you, they're more common than you'd think. The men and women of Special Operations Forces are out there, day in and day out, doing the hard work that most of us can't even fathom. And they do it without the expectation of fame or glory. They do it because they believe in something greater than themselves. And what about SEAL Team 6? Well, they're still out there, somewhere, ready to answer the call at a moment's notice. These elite warriors are the tip of the spear, and they're always sharpening their skills, preparing for the next mission, whatever and wherever that may be. So, the next time you hear about a daring rescue or a covert operation, take a moment to think about the people behind those headlines. They're not superheroes. They're real men and women, with families, hopes, and fears, just like the rest of us. But they're also the ones who run toward danger when everyone else is running away.